All right. So welcome everybody to the 2021 annual conference for the American Society of Dowsers. And I hope everybody is doing well and excited because we're going to have a phenomenal presentation, I know, from Susan Collins. She's going to talk about developing your psychic ability and sharing practical tools to help us stay safe and focused on extraordinary journeys that await us. And I know from her presentations and her work that those expectations will be met. I think many of you know her. She is an internationally acclaimed keynote speaker and workshop leader. And she's uses dowsing tools as well as powers of heart, thought, and gut to detect and transform non-beneficial earth, environmental, psychic, and other energy paradigms. She's led workshops and presented across North America, the UK, Italy, Japan, and Middle East, and has a number of documentaries and written many books. And she's past president and Dowser of the Year of the Canadian Society of Dowsers, as well as an ordained metaphysical minister. And if I left anything out, Susan, please add it. Take it away.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. As always, I am...
Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. So okay. If everybody could mute so that you can, so we don't have background noise, and that will make it easier for you to unmute if you've got a question. Susan's going to be doing a presentation at the end of which she'll have Q&A. But if you want to put questions in the chat as she's doing that, you can do that as well. Okay, now Susan, you can take it.
Okay, go. Last year we had some technical problems and speakers didn't always get the tech in. So this year we were invited to do a pre-recording. So I have pre-recorded a 45-minute presentation, and then I'm obviously here live. So when the presentation's over, we'll do live Q&A. So I say welcome to everybody, and I'm going to share my screen, and Mark's going to tell me if it's working. I'm going to share my sound, and here we go. Hey there, my name is Susan Collins, and I am extremely pleased to be with you here virtually today at the American Society of Dowsers annual convention. My topic is Develop Your Psychic Ability with Dowsing. As a professional dowser for 20-some years, I have met a lot of people who are practicing their psychic abilities, they're working with their psychic abilities, but I must admit, a lot of my clients are also people who are working with their psychic abilities and have run into trouble. So it's my purpose here today to give you some information, some guidelines perhaps, that will help you safely and accurately develop your own psychic ability. I'm going to share my screen. And there is our title, Develop Your Psychic Ability. My name is Susan Collins, dowsers.ca, and with my partner, Graham Gardner, we are internationaldowsers.org. So as mentioned, we would like everybody to be safe and accurate while they're dowsing. For me, you know, at the beginning, I didn't really understand what dowsing was. Dowsing is not a party game. It's not something that you trot out at the request of friends necessarily. It's a serious practice that the more seriously you take it, the safer and more accurate you will be, hopefully. So think of a goal at this point. So I hate giving lectures, honestly, but I do enjoy giving workshops. So consider this a specific workshop. And think of a goal. But who am I? Why am I here? So in addition to my regular name, Susan Collins, I was given a native name by our colleague, White Eagle, and that is Carrier of the Sacred Water, Water Woman. And here's a photo of Graham Gardner, who on the same day was given the name Carrier of the Sacred Fire. Graham's in Scotland. So together we're internationaldowsers.org. But I've also studied in other North American native traditions, as well as with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and within the Celtic tradition, the Kabbalistic tradition, and as well, I'm now an ordained metaphysical minister. So by law, I am required to say that my religion is metaphysics, which metaphysics being the study of the nature of reality. And I think as dowsers and as scientists, this is what we are up to with the work that we do. What is the nature of reality? How do we interact with it for successful outcomes? So back in the day when I was growing up, there's a little picture of a child playing in a stool. Not me, because they hadn't invented color photography when I was a child, but I remember playing in a stool and crying a lot because I could feel things around me. I was clairsentient, but in those days, parents didn't talk to their children about what was out there. So the stool, I keep saying school, it's interesting. School also did not support me, I must say. So that if any of us have developed in ways that aren't consistent with traditional culture, we are often mocked or ridiculed or thought of as crazy or called names or whatever. But you know what? There's a lot of us out here and you're watching, so likely that you have had similar experiences where we experience the unknown. We experience things that there is no rational, if you will, rational or common explanation for. Now we know, in fact, there are many rational explanations which we can relate to through quantum physics, which we'll get to. But anyway, I was a little kid and I was scared of the dark up until I was 45 years old. Meanwhile, I had a big corporate career, I made lots of money. And then in 1982, at the age of 29, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. My hands were claws. For the next 23 years, I was on steroids and terrible drugs. But in 1999, I found dosing and learned how to manipulate my own energy and the energy of my environment to bring myself into better health. So I've been doing that ever since. It took about 5 years, but I'm drug-free. It did not happen in one night or one session. It's a long process of dedicated work. But when one is not well, sometimes there's nothing else to do, it seems. So for the past 15 years, I've been basically symptom-free and drug-free. What I learned through all this is that the autoimmune disorders can be the self not recognizing the self. And what I mean by that, there's two aspects here. One is I think we all have Earth missions. This is what we come to do. I'm here in this body and you're there in that body. And we have missions which include looking after our family, our pets, our garden, the planet, each other as much as we can. And then a separate thing is a soul mission, which may transcend lifetimes. So we can say it's as if we have more than one life, or it's as if we have past lives. And we say as if because that helps quiet the left brain, which is going, oh, what do you mean? We just have this life. No, it's as if. It's as if that we have memories, experiences, and energies that carry over in our present time that come from the past. It's also true that we have energies that carry over from our future lives. And it's as if that's true. And I invite you to dose that in this moment. Is it true that I, say your own name, have future lives, and that those energies are sometimes interacting with the energies of my present space-time body? And you may find yes. So I've had quite the journey of self-healing. And through all that, I've written several books. These are also available at the American Society of Dosers bookstore. Lisa would be happy to mail them out to you, or I mail them out also from my website. So that's the journey. And I find it's very important. My first teachers told me to share what I knew, and because they did. So that's been my objective all this time, is to share what I know. And of course, the more I share, the more I know. Every time I hit print on a book, then I'm given new information. So I think it's an important practice for all of us. And the way that dosing gets effective is through service. So think of that as well, that we dose not just for ourselves, but in service for our families, the planet, or whatever. But it forces us. It forced me in any case. I can only give you my example, but it certainly at the beginning forced me to dose in service for other people. So what is dosing? And at this conference, I'm sure you've seen other people already with pendulums, and they talk about dosing as, moving a thing around. But I'd like you to consider that dosing is simply applied consciousness, that the dosing tool is a biofeedback tool that amplifies what our body systems, body, mind, spirit systems already know. So dosing is applied consciousness. Just as engineering is applied science, dosing is applied consciousness. Dosers detect and transform energy. And this is a picture taken at an American Society of Dosers conference some years back. We were drumming and somebody snapped a picture, and we have orb energies. So with, it's not very often that we can take pictures of the other being, people say, what are orbs? And the best answer I ever had was that orbs are energy phenomena. And really, I believe they are conscious. These energy forms are conscious, that we are, honestly, I'll say we're being habituated to the experience of energies from some other dimension. And, who can be afraid of a fluffy little orb? I think that's part of the orb journey. But we can detect energy. More importantly, we transform it. So that is part of what I want to talk to you today about. Dosing, universal law, panpsychism. Panpsychism. This is a concept I think that has really come to the fore in the last couple of years, a couple of decades rather, and that is the idea that all things have consciousness. And though they don't have human consciousness, my pets have consciousness, my plants, my flowers, trees, my computer, my car, the grid system, the planet, all these things have consciousness, not necessarily human consciousness. But with dosing is like a universal translator, that we don't speak tree, but we can interact with the energies of the tree through the biofeedback device of a pendulum or L-rod, whatever you're using, and find something out about the tree. And the tree can find out something about us. So we come into a unity sort of consciousness, but we can communicate with all things, and we can communicate with all times. So some people call this the Akashic Records. Some people might call this the quantum universe, but it's as if all things are happening. The record of all things is happening at all times. Quantum physicists would say that there's only one wave. There's one quantum wave. It's not like we're all separate little things in a big bubble, although there's the theory of a bubble universe. But basically, the one wave concept is we are all connected. That's unity consciousness. And quantum physics has got other ways of saying that. But there's many ways to get into this place. So dosing is not a religion. It's not a specific cultural phenomena. It is a practice that has been developed over, I'd say, millennia. As long as we've been human, we have been dosing. And please, I invite you to adapt whatever I'm saying to your own particular culture and religion, because we are not trying to turn you into something. We are only seeking to assist you in going into your own energy systems and finding your own personal truth. And truly, that's the power of dosing, because this is a unique, dynamic activity that you can use yourself independently without having to rely on somebody else or a book. But you can go on your own journey. And what we want, of course, is for you to go safely and accurately so you can find out your own universal truths. That's interesting. We all come to different truths. What is true for each of us may not be true for another person, but the important thing is to find one's own truth. There's many ways into that. I've mentioned quantum physics, and not for your eyes to glaze over, but let me just say that the quantum wave, remember there's just one wave. The quantum wave is the realm of possibilities. It's as if everything is out there all the time. Every possible thing that could happen is out there. It's the realm of possibilities. And the wave function collapse creates physical reality, if that makes sense to you. So that everything is out there, wave function collapses into a point. So instead of the all out there, suddenly, whoop, it's the one thing. It's the one thing that goes there. Dosing can collapse the quantum wave. It is the laser-like focus we use when dosing that sends our intention out into the universe, and in ways we don't necessarily understand, but through electromagnetic influence, creates the reality that we choose. And there are many possible realities depending on choices we make today, but it's extremely powerful. And it's not fancy, right? It's the simplest thing that we can do with a few tools, with the power of heart, thought, and gut. So we, with focused consciousness,
can collapse the quantum wave and create our realities. And this is really what I mean when I talk about psychic ability. It's the ability to be fully human. And remember, that is the healthiest place to be. The strongest place to be is fully human in your body. And you are also working in the other realms, if we can call it that, in the full universe. So other courses will tell you about how to use pendulums, how to use bobbers, the various tools, L-rods. So for me, and this is just my personal opinion, the tools are basically interchangeable. A pendulum you can stick in your pocket. Rods are handy for outside, for finding energy lines or finding water. Bobbers are great for transforming energy on a large scale. But for me, the magic, and I suggest this for you as well, the magic is in you. The magic is in your mind-body system, not in a specific tool. The tools, we can calibrate tools, we can have nice tools and fancy tools, but remember it's like a hammer. Favorite cutting knife that you use in the kitchen. You've got a favorite tool, but you're the one doing the cutting. You're the one hammering the nail. So I invite you to remember that the magic, the miracles are within you, all latent and waiting to be developed. So it's always good before I start. Then when I was a beginner doser, that my signals would tend to change quite often. One day it's yes, one day it's no. I'm spinning around in different directions. So it's important to practice. And before every session, I still, as a matter of good habit, I pick up my pendulum and I say, show me yes, show me no, so that I am consistent. I know I'm consistent. And my yes and no may be different than yours. I mean, I'm not even telling you. My yes is clockwise, my no is counterclockwise. Other people's yes are back and forth, no is sideways. Doesn't matter. Your signals can be different from somebody else's as long as you are consistent with them and you know what each of them means. So yes and no, that's your basic detection tool. The disconnect and maximize, these are concepts that we use for transforming energy. So once you've detected an energy, you can transform it. And how do you do that? One is by disconnecting any non-beneficial energies or barriers, and then maximizing the beneficial energies that are related to that. So I invite you to pick up your pendulum and ask it to show you disconnecting motion. Pendulum, please show me the motion that indicates disconnecting. My concept here is like emptying a bucket of dirty energy, like dirty water. You've got to pour out that dirty energy, dirty water, before you can add something in. So we disconnect, remove non-beneficial energies. And once that's out, then you can bring in, maximize the beneficial energies. And you'll notice my vocabulary here. I'm not saying good or bad to refer to beneficial, non-beneficial. I'm not saying positive or negative. I'm saying beneficial to humans or to pets or to flowers or to whatever you're working with, non-beneficial to humans, to pets, because we all have different energy needs. So be very specific with who your client is. What are you asking? What are you asking the energies for? So the next one down there is positive, negative charge. And I'm a real stickler on this, that positive means electrical charge, negative means negative electrical charge. So some folks will seek to eliminate negative energies from their body. Literally, if you're going to be literal about this, disconnecting negative energies, removing negative energies from your body will leave you in an unbalanced electromagnetic state. And as humans, we have various energy systems, muscular, skeletal, all the rest, but we are electromagnetic. We have MRIs, we have EEGs, we have various medical diagnostic procedures that remind us we are electromagnetic. So I invite you to use not positive, negative when referring to beneficial, non-beneficial, but really be clear. I ask to remove non-beneficial energies so that I can go to sleep at night, for example. Very, very specific stuff. So positive, negative, and then point two is just pendulum point in the direction that I should go at this point. Or if you're using a chart, please point to plus minus, for example. So depending on the thought you have in your head, the different actions of the pendulum will mean different things. So that's just a quick review on that stuff. And there's the plus minus chart. So I use this most often because you can say, yes, is my water healthy for me to drink? I might get a yes. But if I use the plus minus chart, I'm using my cursor here like a pendulum, and I'd say, please show me the overall benefit to me of the water in my glass at this time. It's only a +6. So that tells me that I can increase the benefit of my water. And then I would ask with my pendulum, can I increase the beneficial energy of my water using dosing techniques? And I get a yes. If I was to ask the overall benefit to me of drinking gasoline, it would go to a -10 in there. So the plus minus chart is extremely handy to fine tune your answers, because yes, no, and you can do yes, no. The amplitude of the swing is small. It's a small yes. The amplitude of the swing is big. It's a big yes or no. But I like using the chart because it gives you very precise measurements. The other thing when dosing, and I turn everything into charts because I find it's a much easier way to grasp things, but I always do a baseline. So before you begin work on something, you would do a baseline, please, and let's get the cursor on the chart again. Please show me the overall benefit to me of the condition of my car. Please indicate the condition of my car at this time. It's going +2 to +5. So I probably need an oil change, and I think I do, actually. So it's like, oh, yeah, my car is fine. Oh, no, you know what? It's between +2 and +5. So that tells me I need to work on my car. That's just an example, but I use that all the time. So the other big topics, and really to develop your psychic ability, one works within one's belief systems. And we're talking also about the belief systems of the subconscious. If your subconscious mind thinks this is all nonsense because people have told you that, then you short circuit the connection between what you do and what you manifest. So, for example, if you are dosing in a group of people, and that group of people, half of them thinks this is all nonsense, like at a family dinner or something, then it's very hard to be accurate. It's hard to be safe, and it's hard to be accurate. You'll start to shut down. If you're dosing within a group of people, such as the American Society of Dosers or other group that you attend, or just with friends or just on Zoom, doesn't matter. If you share a common belief system that dosing works, then you, in fact, will get better results. Now, we don't mean delusional. We don't all want to be in a state of delusional trance and just make believe this stuff works. The belief system has to be based on practice, knowledge, experience, all kinds of things. So again, it's not a party game. It's a series. It's a science. It's a metaphysical science that in some cultures, the ancient mystery schools, that this was a very elite sort of activity. In the days we live in now, we're sharing this freely and openly on the internet and through social media and in public meetings when we have those. So, if this stuff must be true, because over the many centuries, over the millennia, in some cultures, anybody who had these gifts, many people who had these gifts were killed for them. And we don't have to go into that in great detail, but there's been a lot of disrespect, a lot of fear for those who don't understand. This is a natural gift. I call dosing our birthright technology. That dosing uses the sixth sense, the electromagnetic sense, to interact with the universe. And people tend to be afraid or mock things they don't understand. But when you're working with your friends and family, can bring in some science, bring in the quantum physics a little bit. You say, yeah, well, it works. The bottom line is, you know what? I may not be able to prove it, but my life is sure full of lucky coincidences. And that's really the bottom line. People would say to me, oh, you're so lucky. It's like, no, I'm not lucky. I am working at this all the time. So take it seriously. And of course, setting your intention. What are you trying to do? When you pick up your pendulum to dose, what are you trying to achieve? So be very clear on that. if it's research, but always when we're trying to help somebody else or the planet, whatever, then we tend to get better and more accurate results. Formulating the questions, you probably have some practice with this already, but make sure the questions are simple. For example, yes, no. With that plus minus chart we looked at earlier, you can indicate, here's how I say it, please swing to the line and number that best represents the overall effect of what I'm looking at, the earth energy on my bedroom, for example, so that you formulate the question very clearly, and they're single questions. It's not a compound question. And for me, it's like 20 questions with the universe. The other thing I do is to write my questions down first, and I'm doing this on the computer a lot of the time, but I'll write things down, and then I'll say, the other thing I do, big secret here, I don't just ask the question, I ask, if I can ask the question, is it appropriate for me at this time to ask a question about X? If I get a no, it may mean that the issue that I am working with really has nothing to do with X. Don't waste your time. Or it may mean it's none of my business, or it may mean something else. But this is what I call the triage approach, which we'll talk about in a second. That triage from the French sifting, you probably know this word from the hospital. You go into the hospital, emerge, and they triage who's the sickest. So it's boom, 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 and you get down to it. So you can have pages and pages of things that you're dosing, but if you can break it down into simple categories and work through those, I find that works really quickly, and we'll show you that. So the dosing protocol, I'll go through this quickly. Those of you who have heard me speak before know it goes on, but we don't have that much time. So I'll simply tell you the steps. Balance your physical body. Your most powerful dosing will come from your feet on the floor. You're fully grounded in your body. Maybe you do some ohms or breath work or something. A lot of us energy people, we're all up in the clouds somewhere, but the power comes from the body. So make sure that you're fully in your physical body. I use the verb connect. I connect with myself. And the way I say it, I connect with my human body for my good health. That's the first thing, because I may have all of these other things going on, but I've got to keep the human body healthy. And because I was compromised for so long, I keep putting my feet back on the ground and connecting to my human nature. I connect also with the intelligent and beneficial energies of nature. So there's, we talked about consciousness earlier. Everything has consciousness. And that if there is an issue you are trying to resolve, the intelligent and beneficial energies of nature may be able to assist you in finding that solution. As well, I connect with what I call divine source or God or creator or universal law, whatever is your word for that, your highest spiritual principle, connect in with that so that you're confident your answers are coming from the most appropriate place. The other thing I connect with is my spirit team. You may call this your guardian angels or your guardians. But for me, it is a small number, usually around 5. They come and go, but and I call them my posse. But the spirit team is like a small group of beneficial beings who are basically with me all the time. You can check in your own, I invite you to check this now. Do I have, say your own name, do I have a spirit team? You probably get a yes. Then you might use the plus minus chart. How many do I have? You might go to, with the plus minus chart, you swing to the line and number, you get maybe 6, and then you can ask, is there another number? If no, then it's 6. If it's another number, yes, then you say, okay, swing to the line and number, next line and number, and you can keep going up. Generally speaking, it's just like human management systems. Having too many guides on your spirit team, it's hard to manage. The advantage of having a small number on your spirit team is that you get to know them basically, and you know what the energies feel like. And they're like your, you could say vice presidents, right? Or your delegates or your managers. So you can set them up to manage different aspects. We also will invite the assistance of other beneficial beings, and each of your individual spirit guides can manage those things. The other thing I recommend is that on your spirit team is at least one consciousness that has been human. So I invite you to dose that now. Are there any beneficial beings on my spirit team that have been human? If you don't have anybody, if you don't have any being that has been human on your spirit team, it's very difficult for them to appreciate, understand what it takes for you as a human on the planet at this time. Honestly, without that human manager, has been human, on your spirit team, then they don't necessarily understand you need money, that you need to eat, that you need to sleep, that your body needs to be in good health. So those of you with money issues, that's something really you should look at. Is there anybody on my spirit team, any being that has been human? And if you get a yes, say, good. Do you understand that I need money? I need resources in order to feed my family, do the work I choose. So a lot of the issues that we encounter can be simply that we don't, our spirit teams don't understand what our human needs are. Anyway, I'm rattling on here. I apologize for that. Let's keep going. Step 3 on my protocol is the forgiveness. If you can't forgive yourself, I'm going to say it with my pendulum. Creator, forgive me. I invite you to pick up your pendulum and do this with me at the same time. You should be getting a yes. If you get no's, you know you have something to work on. And the whole protocol is done with a pendulum, actually. And if you get a no on any aspect, it tells you, oh, you need to work. So prayer taught to me by many horses. Creator, forgive me. I forgive myself. I forgive all those who've harmed me. I release them from my body, mind, and spirit. I ask all those who I have harmed to release me so I am free. If you get a no on any of that, you can also try saying something like, I hold those who harmed me accountable for their actions. I am a survivor. So there are, truly some things that can't be forgiven, but we hold accountable the perpetrators. So push it. We just carry on, right? We are not going to be a slave to somebody else's bad actions. We're not going to, oh my God, when I was little, something happened. That's over. We rebuild. Every second is a chance to rebuild who we are and to reaffirm who we are. So we're living in the present moment. That's what the power is, as has been famously said, the power is, in fact, now. Not in what I used to do, not in what I will do. What am I doing? What am I doing now? Step 4 in the protocol, clear yourself of non-beneficial energies. This is with the disconnecting motion we discussed with the pendulum. Disconnect, throw out the dirty water. Step 5, maximize the energy field, and that's the maximizing motion. And always you have an intention in mind that you are trying to, relationship, money, job, health, accommodation, whatever it is, that we are fully present in our intention to create a successful ongoing outcome. And I like to use the word so that I may experience a successful ongoing outcome, because sometimes we actually have the beneficial outcome, but we almost don't notice it. So we want to have the joyful experience also. Seeking permission to dose, the may I, can I, should I. May I is permission, can I is ability, should I is karmic path. So make sure you get yeses on all that. Dosing is the easy part. Anybody can do that. Step 8 is create an ongoing energy system or matrix to maintain, especially for larger issues, that it probably doesn't get fixed in a second, in one session. My old arthritis there, it took 5 years, but I worked on it every day, I must say. I worked on it. And then at the very end, this is important, disconnect from the energy. So when you're in session, you're working. I found in the early days, if I forgot to disconnect, then I would be exhausted because the energies would drag me down. So make sure after every session you disconnect. And I'm very polite. I thank the energies that have assisted and then communicate results appropriately. So not everybody is willing to hear this. And we try to, if we can use the phrase, we step down. If people aren't ready for this, we step this down into information they can handle. For example, since you're attending for the weekend here, you might say, I learned some really interesting healing techniques, or maybe don't say healing. I learned some interesting self-help, use that word. I used some interesting self-help words this weekend, or self-help techniques this weekend. Is it okay if I share them with you? So most people will say yes. Most people will say yes, as long as you make it sort of neutral in their culture. Okay, so boom, that is the dosing protocol, and we use it to transform energy. So that's a little, you can take a photograph of the screen at this point if you want, but we detect with using the plus minus chart, what is the overall benefit to me of drinking this water, or what is the overall impact of X, Y, Z, and then you use your dosing to transform it. You disconnect the barriers associated with non-beneficial energies in the water or the earth or the relationship or the job, whatever. And then step 5, you bring in beneficial energies so that you can experience successful outcome. And then step 8, you add on an ongoing basis. So we ask for a dynamic process that automatically adjusts to create and maintain ongoing successful outcomes related to health, finances, whatever it is you're working on. So that's how that works. We're not done yet, but just if you want a copy of my dosing protocol, send me an email, susan@doser.ca, and I'll send you. It's a 2-page PDF, and it's quite powerful, I must say. So, but let's get back to the energies and being safe psychically and developing your abilities. In many presentations and in many books, you will find different names of different types of energies, some of which are beneficial, some of which are non-beneficial. Really, all you need to know, are the energies beneficial to me or your pet or to the land or whatever your work? Who's your client? Are you your client or your pet? Are the energies beneficial to a successful outcome or non-beneficial to a successful outcome, or neutral? And you know what? I used to not worry so much about neutral, but lately I think neutral, why are they even there? Maybe they truly are neutral, but maybe those neutral things, and I hate to say this to introduce yet another thing to worry about, but yeah, and I invite you to dose this for yourself. You might ask, is it true that some neutral energies are observing, waiting for an opportunity? If you get a yes on that, then we just have to be a little more vigilant. So we want the assistance and participation of the beneficial. We remove the non-beneficial, and the neutral guys. I'm very. People say I'm bossy, but I'd say to the neutral guys, get out. You have no business being here. So the non-beneficial guys were much more stern. The neutral guys, it's is it a wolf in sheep's clothing? Anyway, I don't want to be alarmist, but watch out for that one, because that's kind of new for me. The important thing here is to recognize trickster energy. A lot of beginning energy people will say, oh, I had a visual experience, or I had the experience, and then they'll name a figure, a divine figure in their culture, in their religion. I saw X. I don't want to use any examples. And you may have experienced that too. You may, I remember I saw, an angel, a specific angel. So I invite you to dose in this moment, the truth, the truth, the truth. Is it, I don't even use your plus minus chart, but ask for the truth. Is it true that the energy I experienced in that moment was truly what I thought it was? So there's a lot of tricky things out there. I'm not going to go into that. I don't want to scare you, but it's extremely important to know if you're safe. So that is a question before you enter into any realm work. Check, am I safe? And I do this throughout the when I'm consulting. I continually ask, am I safe? Should I dose the following information? And you can do this, with the other presentations you're watching. And if people, I don't know what anybody's presenting, but if they're presenting something that seems a little difficult for you, a little challenging, you can ask, am I safe? Should I dose the following information? Or do I have enough psychic protection right now? Because we have all done it, right? You walk into a situation, you're not adequately prepared, and your energy gets manipulated somehow. So we don't want that. So make sure you've got psychic protection. And there's my dosing, low, medium, high. And of course, use your plus minus chart. on that. So psychic protection. So why are there's Gandalf, there's Luke Skywalker, there's Neo. Why are these movies so compelling to so many of us? Because we know it's true. And if you notice, there's Gandalf, he's got his wonderful walking stick. Luke Skywalker's got his lightsaber. Neo just, has the energy. What we have as dosers is a pendulum or an L-rod or a bobber. So we are these archetypes. We are the archetype of the wizard, of the magician, hopefully not of the fool, but the fool is open-minded. But we can step into that power, and our pendulums are the tools for that. So how do we stay safe? For me, I do the dosing protocol twice a day. Again, I'll send you an email. You send me an email, I'll send it back to you. Maintain your sovereign being. I can't say that strongly enough, that you are human, my body, my planet, that you are in charge of this space-time, of this normal reality. And if there are incursions into your reality, then you are able to take back your space. Maintain your sovereign being. Be safe and accurate. And if you feel yourself wobbling, it's like you say it's like you open a door and you go, holy moly, what's over there? It's like Pandora's box. You open it up and suddenly things come out. Close the box, close the door, close your session, and then regroup. And this is why in the dosing protocol, step 2, that's our safety team. That's our safety team in there. Maintain your sovereign being. Stay conscious. Don't lose your primary conscious while you're doing this. What I do sometimes is I dig. If I don't have any tools, I'll dig, and I'm scared, I'll dig my fingernails into my skin, or maybe the tip of my pendulum, but it's get back in your body somehow. Slap your face if you have to. Get back in your body. Stay conscious. Physical objects help, whether it's jewelry or amulets or things around your computer or whatever you have. Whatever in your culture and cultural and spiritual tradition makes you feel safe, have some of those things. And of course, protection while you sleep. So I do the protocol before I go to sleep, and that really helps, because as we sleep, we're changing brainwave states. And as we drop into theta, for example, then we are becoming more resonant with other dimensional activities, which is why sometimes experiencers, for example, experience things as they go into the dream state. So maintain your sovereign being. If you do your protocol with that step 8 ongoing energy system, then you should have safe dreams. For myself, I always ask for useful information for when I wake up, and I often have it too. Okay, so I'm going to rush through this a bit, but we've talked about the dosing protocol as the way to be in there safely. The next thing I want to mention is the triage protocol, which is, again, instead of having 6 pages of things that you check, you can chunk it down. So you'll notice at the top of the screen there, this is my language. Now, my language is always neutral and respectful of the other energies, because I find if I go in any other way, if there are toxic energies, they'll just go and hide. So what I want, sometimes people have said, I'm bringing toxic energies in. I'm not bringing them in. I'm flushing them out. I've been told, well, nobody else ever found those things. It's like, yeah, that's because they're hiding. These things will hide. Again, I don't want to scare you. The dosing protocol will protect you, but you can say the truth, the truth, the truth. I ask for the truth. So I am not, and you will not be bringing them in. You will be revealing them. You're flushing them out. And we do that most easily and safely by being polite. So I say, with honor and respect, and through my guides, those are the guides in step 2 of the protocol, I ask for the cooperation of the spirit of, and then we have the neighborhood, the property, and all these other things to assist in bringing balance and harmony to the client name and their family. I do this with the pendulum. If I get a no at any stage, then I know I have to go and negotiate. And remember, everything has consciousness. I negotiate with each of these levels to try to resolve whatever the outstanding issue is. And of course, that is the practice of dosing. This is the outline. This is my template. This is how I do it. These are the steps. There it is. The other thing I ask, is the source of the problem, or the source of the issue, or the source of the symptom, is it based primarily in earth energies, environmental energies, or psychic energies? And I would use my plus minus chart to see to what degree is the source of the problem in the earth energy, in the environmental energy. So you know what you're dealing with. If the source of the problem is all psychic, there's no point digging holes in your front yard and putting things in them. I mean, a bit facetious. But again, what is the source of the energy? Is it in the past, the present, or the future? Knowing that everything is all now. But sometimes it's worry about the future can create the problems in the now. And also big question here, in what dimension is the source, in what reality, in what frequency? And you may ask, what do I mean by that? By dimension, I mean, here's our normal space-time that we call human. That's our sort of normal dimension. But here we are in Zoom. We're all completely electronic at the moment, yet it feels exactly real. So sometimes these energies are the same thing. They're simply electromagnetic. In this moment, as you watch the video, I'm completely electromagnetic, but I'm actually, in this moment, I am fully physically in my body. It's a fun, kind of game to play. Reality, frequency, there's lots of discussion around that. But you start making charts, you start asking questions, you see where the patterns are, and then you use your dowsing to hunt through everything. So that's that quick little develop your psychic ability. My website is dowser.ca. My email is susan@dowser.ca. I've got lots of things on YouTube. And remember, send me an email, and I'll send you the most up-to-date dowsing protocol, and it'll help you do some stuff, hopefully. I also teach, of course. I do full-time consulting, and I'm doing virtual teaching. I've got dowsing boot camps, which are 3-hour long. Get your dowsing on, whether you are a beginner or more experienced. It's 3 hours of reviewing everything I've just talked about and more. Boot camps are on June 27, August 15, September 12. June 10, well, we've already done that. I did Get Healthy with Dowsing with the American Society of Dowsers. But July 11, I'm Get to Know Orbs, Ghosts, and Aliens, and that's a Zoom workshop. August 22, Get Happy with Dowsing. And there's plenty more where that came from. So that's the end of the sharing. Thank you for watching the video, and fingers crossed now we will be having a live Q&A. So if you've got some notes or questions, then send them over to the moderator, and I will see you live in a few minutes. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in person somewhere down the road. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Could you tell us about your life cards?
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Yes, I've written these books. I do these like courses, but to try to get at, honestly, younger people who don't want to do dowsing, I developed an Oracle system because, that's very popular and easy to access. So it's a 50 card set. That has all kinds of amazing information. They're on sale right now too. I can hold them up and all the rest of that, but it's basically another way for self-guidance that you can. I do them once a year. My kids do them, and it's just sometimes it gives you another way of looking at things. So I think they're fabulous. I look the same. Thank you. Well, I remember my sister-in-law years back, I showed up someplace and she looked at me really angrily and she said, "You look younger than before." So it is part of, having been virtually crippled for 23 years, methotrexate, prednisone, allergic to everything, sensitive to everything, told there was no cure, that I have spent the last 40 years almost just trying to figure things out. So it is just working at it, basically, like every day regenerating my body. I was telling this story in one of the opening ceremonies or something, that I was on Monday of this week in a field doing a water well session, trying to find some water well. I was in the field, long grass for an hour and a half. I then drove home for an hour and a half. I went to the grocery store. I come home and there are black-legged ticks. The Lyme ticks are crawling on my arms. And then I feel one on my back. There was one in my purse. Yet in all that time, they did not bite me. And I was horrified. I was absolutely horrified to have these ticks on me. But it was also, I think, psychic protection that for some reason they didn't bite me. So and I like to say, there's nothing wrong with the ticks, black-legged ticks, God bless them, but there's only things that are in the wrong place. So if we can sort out in our own lives what should be somewhere else and not in my body, then we will stay healthier, I think, for a long time.
So you have a question from Christy, who's curious to know, what are the questions that you find most useful in shifting your arthritis?
Uh-huh. Well, it took me years, and that's the journey. That's where the protocol comes from. The detection, when you did practice with the pendulum, you can do yes, no, it's there. But the power is from the removal of non-beneficial energies. So you might ask for whatever the symptoms are, and back in the day, if the doctors had told me I had inflammation, I would have worked on inflammation as opposed to arthritis. There's no cure. And God bless the doctors, and I appreciate everything they've done. But you might ask with your pendulum, are there foods that I am eating that are contributing to the symptoms of inflammation or of arthritis? And I would encourage you not to use the name of the disease. If you've got pain, are there foods I am eating that are contributing to my pain? Is the place I am sleeping contributing to my pain? Are my emotions contributing to my pain? Are my thought forms contributing to my pain? Are there actions that I am taking that are contributing to my pain? And so once you identify, yes, there are these things that do not support me, then with step 4 in the protocol, and also go through your house and get rid of the diet pop or whatever it is. I mean, consciously get rid of things that you can, but energetically ask to disconnect the residual effect of the non-beneficial food or place or environment or thought forms. I now disconnect all known, unknown, hidden, secret, stealth, disguised, residual, fractal, fluctuating, non-beneficial energies, non-beneficial psychic cords, non-beneficial quantum connections, non-beneficial energy triggers, non-beneficial cellular memories. Disconnect all that stuff and then transform it to beneficial.
Actually, I'll ask a question, Susan. Maybe this is more of a comment, actually. Someone observed that you seem to know this forwards and backwards, which you do. You didn't get to be Dowser of the Year, by sitting on your butt. But I've noticed that in addition to how much I learned from doing your classes, I learned an awful lot from experiencing working with you as a client. So I would really encourage people that are curious about this and want to learn more, just to get a session with Susan. She's in Canada. She charges Canadian dollars. So if you're in the US, it's a real bargain. And just as an example, like we were going through something the last time I did a session with Susan, and it occurred to Susan to ask if the energies that I had been assuming were beneficial were actually beneficial to me the way that I define beneficial. And they weren't. They were interpreting beneficial as the way they define beneficial. So there's all these subtle little nuances that Susan picks up.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. And Fran, I think I saw that you want to ask a question.
I'm going to add to that. So I had a session with Susan, and we've had many people clear our space, and it would get better for a while, and then I would experience it as being almost like I was in a prison, and Mark didn't feel that at all. And so I had a session with Susan where she asked if space knew who I was, and the space had no idea that I actually existed here. And once she introduced me to the space, into the building, into the land, it's felt dramatically different in my home. And this is something that it's interesting that sometimes I think, how did Susan know to ask that? I don't know how you know to ask some things, but I find it absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you.
Susan.
Thank you. I think because I do the protocol and I am purely in service, a lot of stuff, a lot of what I need to know comes in, and then my work is just to develop the question to ask. So I'm really just prompting people with questions to get them to the answer that I already know. That's how it goes. Turtle
So,
Mother,
Susan-
Turtle Mother's down there. Were you going to ask something, Fran?
Oh, I was just going to type something in, but
Well, you're
I just
live,
want to
so-
say it was excellent,
Oh,
excellent.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And
Good.
there's White Eagle.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We missed you.
Big
We
wish.
missed-
And we're so close.
Susan, you got a question from Elizabeth Porter, who asked, do you find that young people are interested in dowsing? How do we attract young people to this work?
That is the question we've all been asking as we all get older. It's very difficult to get the young folks in, partly because they haven't screwed up their lives enough yet, I think. Like, they're busy with their relationships and their job, and they think, well, if I just, get that job and that car, and then it's not really until you're in your 30s, I think, that you realize, oh, all those things that I thought would make me happy aren't going to make me happy. So, and then the young ones, sometimes they're into, I don't want to say it, but spell casting. Well, I said it. What the heck? That like the Ouija board, they sell as a toy to children and young girls. Often they think, all these TV shows about witches, and they don't realize they're really messing with the real thing. So the younger people, I think, who are into it are maybe very vulnerable. I often say they're juicy morsels, that people who are not trained are juicy morsels. So it's important, I think, for us as elders and grandparents and neighbors to talk about this openly so that it is a normal conversation. I like to say we are normal, not average. And when I grew up, we didn't talk about it. But if any kid, like Bill Northern was great for this, we would be at a conference and he would be teaching all the local kids how to dose. So if we can normalize what we do in public, Raymond Gray said this in the opening last night, he brings out his pendulum everywhere. People ask, what are you doing? We just make it normal. I think we'll get more people in. But the truth is, perhaps the young people aren't ready for it. This is what we always ask.
If I could add to that, Susan, what I've done is when, say, White Eagle and Fran are down here, I've asked friends who are coming that are intuitive or want to learn more to bring their kids that they know have some abilities. And then they got around like-minded. I said, how many in your class are like you? And say in a class of 25, I remember a 15-year-old said only one. So they loved being around when we were doing a group, just like when we were meeting live a few years ago, Doug had a group of kids in that you and I were there on, and then they know who amongst their friends would have some interest. So recently I did a workshop here at the house where it was where they had kids that had psychic abilities or were intuitive somehow. So they loved playing with coat hangers as L-rods. And once they found they had the ability, their interest increased. So I think dowsers around the world, if they can do a summer camp or if they have friends coming in to speak like yourself or White Eagle or whomever, to have the adults bring their kids with them and open them up to that if they know they have those abilities.
That's a good point. At the West Coast Conference, they would allow kids to come in with their parents, and they had a children's school, and they would talk about fairies and orbs and sacred geometry and spoon bending and specific activities for the kids. Yeah, if we can get the kids young enough and just say, oh, it's normal to do that. I did that with my children, I must say, and it worked out quite well.